Hi everyone, Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat, back with another Christmas in July project. Today's theme is sparkling snowflakes. And originally I was going to use snow crystal and then changed my mind and went instead for a really sort of like grungy looking but pretty and blue themed set of cards. So I'm using Distress Oxides. I've pulled out a whole load of blue and tealy coloured and grey coloured inks. I am using a clarity, I can't remember, I think they were called splodge mats or something like that, in order to put the ink on, spray some water and then just basically wipe. And this is so much fun to do because you just end up with a whole load of backgrounds and it's great. It's a great relaxing thing to do. What are the things that Tim Holt says? It's like, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit or something like that. Yeah, basically you have to learn to just love whatever you get and just keep going with layers. If you're not keen on the current layer, keep going with another layer. The great thing about the Distress Oxides is that they layer on top of each other if you dry them in between. And so you'll see that I use the heat tool a fair amount. So to be fair, this process probably took in total about 45-50 minutes to make 4 cards. You'll see that the final cards are quite simple in appearance. I didn't go mad on designing a layout or anything because these papers that I'm making speak for themselves. They do most of the work for us. So yeah, there was a few bits of fiddling at the end, but not much. So I just kept going until I was happy with the designs that I got. Then when I say designs, the backgrounds that I'd got, then I went and grabbed some really old Stampin' Up! Wood mounted stamps that have just got some words going across them that are to do with snow. Can't actually remember what they say. One says, nope, can't actually remember. To be honest, it doesn't matter. It's Christmas themed words. Love and laughter and let it snow or something along those lines. Then I go in and start splattering. So first of all, splatter with a grey and my paintbrush like so. Again, I have to dry in between. And then I do some stencils. Yeah. So each time in between layers, dry, because you don't really want to smudge. Doesn't really matter if you do, because it's not about perfection. This is just about getting some colour, some interest, some pattern onto the panels. And I'm using here a very old clarity mask. There's 2 masks in the set. I just used the one in the end. And this time, instead of doing Distress Oxides, I did go in with my Distress inks. The reason being is I couldn't be bothered to get out the blending sponges that I use for my Distress Oxides. And on my blending brushes that I use more frequently, I try not to contaminate them with the Distress Oxides. So I instead brought in the Distress ink at that point, and again I went in and did a bit of splatter with that in the faded jeans. I love all these colours of the Distress inks. I think these blues and teals are like my thing. I love that the blueprint sketch kind of brings in like a little bit of purple tone, but it's still very much blues and teals. Then I went and grabbed this indigo blue stamp set, which is a magazine set. You know, when they do an indigo blue magazine itself, that's what it came from. So it came with papers and all sorts of other stuff. But yeah, I chose the 3 snowflakes, and then I'm just choosing 3 different colours of Distress ink to stamp them. Again, not sure why I chose Distress ink in this case, but I just did. All my oxides were still out. I don't know why I did that, but yeah, I went and then grabbed Hickory Smoke from, as you can see, I've had a crafter lunch to the left-hand side there. But yeah, I went and grabbed Hickory Smoke for the grey for this one, because I don't think I've got the Ice Spruce or the Speckled Egg, which are sort of like the greyer toned inks that I'd used in the Distress Oxides. Now, the cardstock that I'd used was quite thick. It's Crafter's Companion. Anyone who's watched my videos recently knows that I'm enjoying working with this cardstock at the moment. So it's quite heavyweight. However, I had used quite a lot of wet medium there. I'd used a lot of water. So they weren't the straightest or the flattest. But as I then decided to dry emboss them using a very old Snowflake themed embossing folder, that flattens them out nicely. Perfect. I think, again, quoting Tim Holtz probably badly, but paper doesn't have memory. So you can get it back to being, you know, whatever you want it to be. It does not, you don't break it necessarily when you put mediums on it. I chose 2 different colours of cardstock. Now, this lighter turquoisey colour is not a good quality cardstock. I will admit, it's not the best. It's not very thick, but it'll do the job. I've realised I've not put inserts into these cards, so I'll have to go and do that now off camera. I'll just pop some white in. I won't bother doing anything fancy with them. But yeah, it's not the thickest, but if you add an extra layer of the cardstock like I do with there, so I kind of mat my panel with a slightly smaller panel of the blue cardstock than the card blank, it works fine. That's how it works. I did decide to just put just a teensy bit of dimension between the bottom and the top layer of the card blank, so it just raises it up slightly on these ones. Again, just use that blue cardstock as scrap. Because it's not great quality, I have no problem with the fact that that's not obviously really scrap, but it'll do as scrap for the purposes of this because of the fact that I'm not bothered about getting rid of it. It was bad quality. It does its job. It'll still stand up, etc. But yeah, it's not cardstock I'm going to be upset about. This one, however, is a gorgeous colour, and this is a Stampin' Up! Cardstock. So this is good quality, thick cardstock. Unfortunately, only had the one piece of it. So, yeah, I'm starting to write myself a list because I'm now running out of the coloured cardstock I love from Stampin' Up! I love the Kingston Crafts one, but I don't enjoy making card blanks from it quite as much as I do the Stampin' Up! One. And I love the Stampin' Up! Colours, so yeah, I'm a bit tempted, even though I've got enough cardstock here to sink a ship. Unfortunately, I'm running out of that Stampin' Up! Stuff, so maybe an order will be going in. Trisha, watch this space. Right, sentiment-wise, I chose the stamp set. I did contemplate doing some hot foiling and then couldn't be bothered to put my glimmer on. And I thought, no, I did use my hot foil plate on the last card that I made. And I'm trying not to use it on everyone because I know not everyone has a glimmer. So this is a foil-free zone. I instead stamped in the 2 different colours of the Distress Oxides and added clear embossing over the top, which will grab hold of the ink quite well. And it just gives it a little bit more vibrancy and sort of almost seals it a little bit, as well as giving it that, obviously, that raised finish that you get when you use embossing powder. And then I'm just using my trimmer to cut them into little rectangles. There's nothing fancy here at this point. However, I did decide they needed a base panel, and because I knew I hadn't got lots of that cardstock left, I decided to make my matte layers from a piece of cardstock that I have used Distress Oxide on to colour. And I chose the Faded Jeans and the Salty Ocean. Is that what I've chosen? Yes, Faded Jeans and Salty Ocean as my 2 base colours. They're the colours that are in the background along with others. And I just thought, yeah, why not? Why not? So I'm going to stick them onto and then cut them out. This way, because you can see I've not really got a huge amount of space or gap in that Salty Ocean one, so it's quite fine, but it's just enough to add a nice little outline to my sentiment, and then I'll cut out the rest and have those ready to go too. At this point, I'm thinking, what else do I want to do? And I was contemplating doing a die cut frame, and then I thought, no, all I want is some sparkling snowflakes. That is the theme, and I've not really added in sparkle at this point. I had contemplated at one point using my Kingston Crafts spritz, but I realised that the ones that are already available that I can share with you, there isn't really a blue. So you can probably guess from that there might be another set of inks coming, another set of spritzes coming, and there is, and that's got slightly different colours in it. So yeah, I was tempted to just give you a sneak peek, but decided not to. Decided not to use my spritz. Instead, I have chosen to use little bits of this really annoying, because I do not like loose glitter of any description. And this is a good quality glitter paper from Stampin' Up. It's quite an old set, but I absolutely hate it because it does shed. So yeah, my fingers are all covered in glitter now. Hate it, absolutely hate it. But I am doing this particular voiceover and having just finished making these cards and taking pictures of them, and I'm going to go and have a shower. So I figured, well, I need to go and have a shower and wash my hair anyway. I'm just going to go and have a shower, and that hopefully will be enough to get rid of the glitter. Now, again, I wanted to just raise up those sentiment panels with a little bit of dimension. So I've just cut some scraps of the cardstock that had got some marks on it. So I thought, oh, I might as well just use that up. So I've cut that into some strips to go behind. On a couple of them I did 2 layers, a couple of them I did 3 layers. And then I'm just adding my 2 little sparkly snowflakes. I know I normally add 3 of everything, but there was only 2 dies in this set. And I couldn't be bothered, again, can you tell I can't be bothered on a few things here, to go and hunt out any more snowflake dies, and I didn't want them to be 2 of the same kind, for example. So I kept these really simple. And I think probably my theme on this is I started with some plain paper. I've added inks, I've added stenciling, I've had stamping, I've done splatting, I've embossed it, all from a plain piece of white paper. And I think they make really pretty cards. And then I've not had to do very much with the top of them to finish them off. So these are really simple cards to make, and they are super, super fun. I encourage you to go and get your distress oxides or your distress inks or any kind of inks out that you can do kind of this messy kind of technique with. I encourage you to go and try, and then just choose random stamps. They work well. They work well together. I hope you enjoyed that. Please do give me a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to see more. There are loads of videos. I'm going to quick shout out. Please do join the Facebook group if you wish to see more. I'll put the description in the comments below, But until next time, thanks for watching. Bye bye.